Welcome to the Resilient Butterfly Podcast. My goal is to share inspiring stories of healing and recovery through many diverse approaches and models. Our guests bring incredible lived experiences, insights, and/or professional expertise, each with their own unique path. While we highlight and celebrate these stories, our intention is to inform, inspire, and demonstrate resilience and creativity. This podcast does not endorse any one approach. We believe there is more than one way to heal, and we're here to showcase the resilience and possibilities that exist. Welcome, everyone, to Resilient Butterfly Podcast. Your host today is Pam Feinberg-Rivkin, like always, and I have a special guest here today, my business partner, friend, colleague, Steve Feldman.
Thank you. I am excited to be here on the set of The Resilient Butterfly.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
You finally made it as a guest.
No, it is awesome, and I am excited to be here.
So I know that a lot of people ask, when did we start? How did we come together? I'm going to start to say, Feinberg Consulting is actually 30 years old, January 1st, 2026. So in January 1st, 1996, I started the company with 10 clients on my own with an assistant admin to work with paperwork. And things just started to evolve and grow. And over the years, I continued to add people. And then I saw that there was a need to expand the services because we were working with people with brain injury, spinal cord injury, catastrophic injuries in Michigan, and wanted to expand to Florida, but not only Florida, but eventually nationwide, which we've done. And Steve was a friend of mine who we started talking about what we could do.
It was interesting because where we started, we had obviously no idea where this was going to go, but initially, if you remember, you took an ad out in a magazine, an advertorial magazine down here in Florida that was a really cool magazine that each page was a different ad, but it was really done in a way that made it look like it was an advertisement. And the first thing you asked is, could you put together a article each month about the company that would have people learn about what we could do in terms of advocacy and coordination of care. And in Florida here, it was mostly around older adults. So what ended up happening is there were 10 of those. And
you remember there were 10.
Yeah, it was a year and there were 2 months off. But what we ended up doing is I started to learn about your business as we were putting these together. I was doing independent consulting and working with a bunch of different businesses. And right from the beginning, there was something so interesting about being able to advocate for people, being able to help people reach their highest level of function. So after doing that for almost a year, we increased our conversations to see, what else was possible.
Yes, and I knew that there was a need for more complex medical issues as well as mental health and addiction services. And there was so much treatment here in South Florida that provided treatment, but then what did people do after? And how did people manage that with everything that they needed to do to continue their recovery rather than being discharged and then they're floundering on their own, which there's a high incidence of recidivism because no one is there to support people. So here we are.
Yeah. So it's interesting because part of this partnership is Pam's got a lot of facts and I always love to set context. And the context of this whole thing was that as we started working together, there were all these synergistic, maybe God shots that were having us have all these coincidences. We wanted to have a meeting together and you said you were in Florida. I said, well, I was in Florida. And where? And we were in the same city. And then it worked out that we found out that you were moving into a new community, and that new community was right down the street from where my parents lived. And then as we started working through this, you knew about my history and my story. I'm somebody in long-term recovery, and really proud of being able to use what was a complete mess and turn it into more of a message. And you were having some challenges with family, and we all of a sudden had personal things that came together, and all of a sudden this ability to be there to help people with behavioral health and addiction, both from a standpoint of professional opportunity, but really a shared passion.
Right, a shared passion for sure. Personal, because families, to me, my family, well, have been struggles, and I really had a vision of families continuing to heal and continuing to be able to be there for each other in a healthy way, to be able to love each other, to support each other, again, in a healthy way, and to be able to understand that mental health, medical issues, catastrophic injuries, and addiction all affect the family. It is not one person.
I'm going to say this, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. What ended up happening, and I witnessed as there were some things going on in your family, you made a commitment as a family member. And that commitment you made was to yourself. And I watched somebody sacrifice things, make commitments, dig deep into your own recovery. And the distinction that was created and that you showed as an example is really the culture that I was so attracted to with Feinberg, with you and Feinberg. And that culture is about how can we as leaders of a business, as examples, be healthy for ourselves, to not have what goes on behind the screen or curtain look any different than what we're asking people to do. So the ability to have self-care, to have our own recovery, to be able to have communication with other people that we work with in an open, vulnerable way, it created something that was really uncommon. And, all these years later, which is almost 14, I think we're going into the 15th year together, something that I'm so proud of. And you led that way, and along the way, you've had some of your own medical challenges. And I have watched somebody who is so committed to your wellness, whether it was through meditation, whether it was through alternative kind of healing, acupuncture, whether it was going on retreats, being able to not just take what the medical community, Western medical community said to you as gospel and do nothing else.
Because it is a mind-body healing, no matter what, whether it's cancer or addiction or behavioral health situation, it is a mind-body healing, and figuring out where it came from, because there is always a story in everyone's life, everyone. We don't want to be left out here. And that understanding where some of this has come from, to then have an ability to heal, to open up, and use the alternative ways to be able to help manage our own mind-body healing. And I continue. I have another woman that I'm going to be interviewing this afternoon, that she does some amazing healing, and she gave me a session, and there's always something else out there to be able to figure out where the healing can come from, and not looking at it only as, oh, I've got cancer, I got to take chemo, I got to do this, I got to do that, because there's other ways of being able to help. Of course, don't eliminate the healing that from Western medicine, because that in itself is going to help, and the other ways. I remember actually during a chemo session, I went home and was still on chemo, and I was nauseous, and I'm like, okay, I got to figure this out. I put music on. I was by myself and I danced in the room.
Is there video?
I wish there was, because then I realized all of the nausea went away.
Wow.
And
it's about augmenting,
Right.
you know, and that is really part of the culture and the discipline of the company. It's not just to take what is at face value. It's being able to continue to ask the next question, to not take a no for an answer, to be able to consider what else is possible. In the world of everything that's
Right.
possible, if we're trying to accomplish and get something done, whether it's a procedure inside of the company or whether we're advocating for clients, it's that mindset. And you have led the way. You've been an unbelievable example of that.
so I'm going to shift this a little bit, because there have been struggles in our business like any other business. Everybody struggled during COVID for sure. And there are other things that have arisen. What do you think, between you and I and what we were creating, what are some of the greatest challenges that we had to face and work through?
Well, listen, just before COVID in 2020, that the catastrophic auto reimbursement laws in Michigan changed. I mean, it was part of what we talked about initially. You recognized that the largest part, 90+% of the business was based on this type of reimbursement from auto. And you knew that one day that was going to change. Mm-hmm. And years later, it ultimately did. So the reimbursement changed and the coverage changed all at the same time. Mm-hmm. The insurance companies weren't sure what they were supposed to pay or what they were supposed to do. Then COVID hit and everything went virtual, and there was significant issues with clients that we were billing for that we weren't getting paid. Mm-hmm. There were significant issues with new clients not coming in. And then there was, that thing of how do we figure out how to do business that is typically an in-person, face-to-face business virtually with no office. Mm-hmm. and having to support clients mm-hmm. virtually as much as possible. So during that time, it was obviously really difficult.
I was reentering treatment. So we had my own personal health issues and my husband's personal health issue of his heart attack in 2019. So there was a lot of that moving around. And look, we survived. Not only survived, but we're thriving. And I want to just give the audience some vision of what they can continue to do. What is it that you think created the inspiration for us to move through the hard times and continue on?
Listen, I think it's what we were just talking about, which is to be able to look at things through the lens of what is possible, to get clear on where we want to go and what we need to accomplish, to set goals, and to really get a team of people together to share that vision and help implement it. And the ability to operate not emotionally, with emotion, but mm-hmm. not operated by fear mm-hmm. Or anger or whatever it is. And we really ultimately were able to build our company, build our staff, make things happen in a different way. And, one of the
attract really good people.
Unbelievable. And one of the things that I'm most proud of is going to conferences around the country. And there's a lot of people that I don't know that know of our company and just speak so highly of our staff, of the work that we do, of the integrity in which the company is held. So I think the answer to your question is really being able to operate with clarity, with vision, and not emotionally.
What you just said, integrity too. So this is Resilient Butterfly. What does resilience mean to you?
That ability to bounce back. And, it wasn't by conscious design, but the greatest part of what I feel I bring as a contribution is through the tremendous wreckage that I created in my past to my family, to friends, and mostly to myself. And to be able to utilize my recovery and my life today as an inspiration, even without necessarily having to share it, but knowing that it's possible, that ability to bounce back from what happened yesterday and recognize that yesterday is not an indication of what has to happen today and tomorrow. And that for me was really big. You know, shame is being stuck in what happened in the past and cycling through it. Healing comes from being able to recognize it and move forward in a healthy way, knowing that the past doesn't have to be repeated and the past doesn't have to indicate the future.
Absolutely. And that's what healing's about. And anyone that judges themselves or anyone who judges others, look at what's possible.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for being a guest. I'm going to have you back at another time, next 2026.
Yeah.
And
I love this, the ability to sit here with you and kind of think about this and contemplate it is really helpful and meaningful. And we've been on a great path together and look forward to doing this again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining the conversation today. If you are seeking help for yourself or a loved one, please reach out to our Feinberg Consulting team at 248-538-5425. That's 248-538-5425. And check out our website at feinbergcare.com. I'm grateful for our guests and all who have joined us today. Make sure you follow us on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere you listen to podcasts.